What made you ghost a friend? I told her not to tell anyone, so she told everyone. I've grown to learn that no secret is safe if it's shared with anyone, even to someone you deem trustworthy. I don't tell any big secret to anyone, they will follow me to my grave. 2 can keep a secret if one is dead. That realization that you're the one initiating all the interactions with them, and when you stop, they don't notice. Every conversation was about them and their lives. They rarely asked or were interested in what I had going on. The selfishness was just too much after a while. When I realized the relationship was one-sided and they only cared about themselves. When I realized a lot of the things that made her laugh were at my expense. She thrived off of humiliating me. Her fiancé was arrested and did jail time for possession of child pornography. When he got out, she married him and talked about how excited she was to have children with him. Edit, I understand that people are concerned about any children that are born to these people. I'm concerned too. That said, I cut off contact with her 6 years ago. I can't FB stalk her due to her privacy settings. I also moved a few time zones away, so I'm not in the same social circle as her anymore either. All I can do is hope that the people who are still in her orbit do their due diligence. It sucks, but that's the option available to me. When I've realized she was maybe my best friend, but I was not her. In fact, I was only useful to her. That realization hits like a sledgehammer if you encounter some event or outing where you expected an invite and the friend just acted like you didn't exist. Every time when there is a girl involved, this dude turns into the cringiest being there is. Treating so much to get laid. In a group chat, when 2 girls were talking about what to wear for their girls' night out, he started bringing up panties, bras and whatnot. I left that group, started a new one with everyone from the old group except him. Started talking shit about me to my GF and best mate. His dad had a history of drinking problems, and he was starting to exhibit the same behavior, so I suggested we should both take a break from drinking for a while and try to focus on some healthier shit. He apparently took that as I'm not the same person and my GF was the person who changed me. Sounds like somebody didn't want to be held responsible for his own actions and it cost him his friend. Guy told me you'll never be a good teacher. After 2 years of unemployment following my graduation with a teaching degree, I realized the bastard had meant every joking insult he'd ever said to me. This is why insult humor is hard for me now. I still have relationships which throw around a lot of humor like that, but it comes from a place of absolute trust. We know each other's no-go spots, and the stuff we can joke about each other on. Generally, it's riffing off stupid shit we've done, not who we are or what we believe. Generally, it's riffing off stupid shit we've done, not who we are or what we believe. This is the big one. Most people can laugh about something stupid they've done in hindsight, because they wouldn't do it again. Most people don't like laughing at inherent features of themselves, especially when they're unchangeable or not considered negative. He knocked on my door one night and said, "Let's go for a drive." This wasn't that odd since I love driving to cool my head. So we start driving and maybe 10 minutes in, he starts directing me on where to go. He asked me if I mind making a quick stop. I'm annoyed but say sure. We end up at this sketchy house in the middle of nowhere and my buddy goes inside, but tells me to wait in the car. Almost 45 minutes later he comes back out and says we gotta go to the bar. It takes me about 10 seconds to realize this posse went in there to get coke and was already high. So I tell him that I'm not feeling it tonight and drop him off at his place. Spoke to him once after that when he wanted to hang and I told him I'm nobody's errand boy. Never gave a shit if he got the message because I haven't spoken to him since. I'm surprised you actually waited for so long outside. I enjoy my solitude and he said he owed the guy money. Didn't say what it was for though. I had assumed it was his bookie. I wouldn't think it'd take 45 minutes to pay someone money. 10 to 15 minutes in and I'd probably message them asking WTF they're doing. Actually, I'd probably ask why they even want to stop by the sketchy house in the first place lol. Too much insult humor, really ducked my esteem edit, since I can't possibly respond to all these and keep my sanity. We were friends for a while and it was almost always insult humor and that combined with a shitstorm of other things just got to me and I took it personally and ended up blowing up at them. Now I really don't have any way to talk to them and don't care anymore. I had a friend who could only do insult humor, it really wears on you after a while, and they usually can't take criticism about it either, it was only a joke. And such excuses. I grew up with my family mainly using insult humor. It super wore me down and I was super depressed all through middle and high school because of it. Every time I would ask them to stop, they would be like, "Why can't you just take a joke, Kellyzarus? You're so touchy." For a long time there was a running joke, but also they thought it was true, that I was such a bitch who never admitted when she was wrong. From every other source in my life that was not the case and certainly isn't now. Literally my sister started calling my dad Papa Bear, my mom Mama Bear, herself Baby Bear, and I was Bitch Bear. It was ducking constant. Finally when I had to move back in for a bit after college I snapped and told them it's not fucking funny. They begrudgingly stopped but acted like I was so sensitive and you couldn't say anything around me for fear of upsetting me. It's much better now, but it was super shitty to grow up in. Edit, this got a lot more attention than I was expecting. After I moved to a different city, I had a serious conversation with my mom about everything and why I was still mad about it. After that she slowly changed her behavior, and as she's gotten older she has gotten much more empathetic. My sister moved out and also realized how toxic our environment was and made a lot of empathy improvements herself. I also grew up a lot and got much better at empathy. Overall, we are a much more functional family. Glad you were able to put your foot down. I threatened to stop speaking to my sister in my 30s. Finally after that she made an effort to be nice to me. I wish I could have figured that out earlier in life. My best friend growing up was a kid I lived next door to from the age of 9 until 18. At school, he would pretend not to know me so he could seem cool to the popular kids. He would invite me places then ditch me. He would break plans so he could free up time to hang with his cooler friends. That shit got real old, real fast. When I was 18 I moved to the other side of town. We were growing apart more and more but I would still try to hang out with him when I could. Well one day he asked me to come over to his house and play Tony Hawk's Pro Skater when it first came out. I was so pumped that I walked 3 miles to his house only to be told that he was going to go hang out at his other friend's house instead, but could I babysit his brothers and sisters? Needless to say, things weren't the same after that. I stopped answering his calls. He would stop by and I would leave just to avoid him. He would make plans to hang out and I never bothered going. I just gave up on trying to be friends with that guy. I tried so hard for almost 10 years just to be a good friend to him, and he just pushed me to the wayside. Maybe I'm an asshole for stooping to his level, but I don't care anymore. Sounds very much like a chameleon. They're the worst because they can fit with anyone, but only one at a time. That's where they screw themselves. 10 years of that would take a toll on anyone. He failed to care for my dogs when dog sitting. Pick of them. Saw him. I was getting super close to an old friend from college, his new wife and their kids. We were going out of town for like a week and asked them to dog sit. It was the worst case scenario. They neglected my ducking dogs. There was at least 2 days where they didn't get let out of fed and left my younger dog in his kennel for like 24 hours. When I asked why there was piss and shit in his cage, their response was if I had known it was there I would have cleaned it up. Like, you're missing the point, man. I'm not mad I had to clean it up. I'm mad that you neglected my dogs. He never went potty in the house, let alone his kennel. I was livid. And if that wasn't enough, the house was a wreck. They took like $40 out of our change jar, let her kid lose all the pieces to my vacuum, let her kid play with a pound container of garlic salt and spill it everywhere. Don't worry, she swept it underneath the couch. They used up all our tea and coffee, and put a whole pot of macaroni down the garbage disposal, giving us plumbing problems to this day. For months it was like finding little shitty cherries on top as I discovered yet another shitty thing they did. Edit, this got a lot more attention than I was expecting. I dropped them immediately and we never spoke again. They didn't really show signs of being shitty before this happened, and had their own cat that they took very good care of. Holy ducking shit, exactly the same shit that I went through. Minus the theft. House was a mess. We went shopping for them and put $300 in groceries in the house for them, but they still ended up eating $200 in prime beef from my deep freezer. In a week. We found shit on the floor, under our towels. Instead of, being normal and picking it up, he just tossed towels on it. I have cameras covering the entire outside of my house, and the common areas inside. I reviewed the cameras and saw that he'd barricade himself away from the dogs and play video games while they begged to go outside. They ring a bell for that, and broke into fights and laid around board. It was infuriating and heart-wrenching. These dogs are like my children. They sleep with us, and they protect us. I try to travel with them, but this trip was too far to drive, 3 days each way hard driving. Oh damn. That's some entitled bullshit. Here I stocked the fridge for you. Haha, no thanks. We're that prime shit. Where that prime shit on the floor, under a towel.